Hey, what's up, Blazer fans? Welcome to We Have a Take the What podcast. I am Tara Bowen Biggs, joined as always by Rose Harding. Hello, Rose.
Hi, Tara. How are you doing today?
Good, long time no see. We haven't recorded for a while. We got lots to catch up on. We got a Blake Wesley player profile to do later on in the program. But yeah, how you feeling? How are the Blazers impacting your soul and your heart and your mood these
Whew.
days?
It's been a whirlwind, honestly. And I was like thinking about it like last year around this time is right when the Blazers started picking up. You remember like post All-Star break is when they
Yeah.
started to seem like, oh, this is they're maybe putting something together and it was kind of exciting. And I realized that like expectations maybe like tell the whole story because after the All-Star break, like I think that the opposite is happening, but also it's like we started this season when they were like, okay, next phase of the rebuild, it's winning time or whatever. And I'm like, oh, we're so beat up. Um, I don't know. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it is really hard. I'm struggling right now in trying to get in order my expectations versus what's going on versus what I thought was going to happen versus what has been happening over the last few years.
Mm,
And like what I mean by that is like we fell into the routine of in March, the Blazers are losing because the Blazers need to lose and the Blazers need to get on the Development Express and ride that thing all the way to Lottery Station. And like we knew what the plan was and that's how it was going to go. And then we entered this year knowing that this year they're not going to be trying to get on the Lottery Express anymore. They're going to be trying to win, but also knowing that they weren't going to be as that successful because they have a long way to go, right? In
yeah.
my mind, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting that they were still going to struggle to win, but the struggle was going to be more interesting because it was going to be more representative of what the team was going to look like in the future. And I think for me, the thing that has made it hard, and I'm sorry to start at this on such a downer thing. I feel like I've been kind of down lately, but knowing or not knowing what the new ownership is going to do to the team has been tough. Um,
Yeah.
but that having been said, putting all of that aside, I will say with Denny and Shaden out, it's really hard. Like knowing that they're actually injured, and so we don't want to like screw it up and have them come out and play just to get wins. And by the way, they're only four under 100 or 500. They're only four games
Yeah.
under 500. Like I had to remind myself when I looked at this, I'm like, oh, they're like they're doing fine. But anyway, um, I have to say, in the last couple of games without Denny and Shaden, like the first few games without Denny were just like, oh yeah, I remember when this is like when Denny doesn't play. But I've seen them like put together some moments, put together some series, put together some plays where it's like, oh, they're gonna get to a point where they can keep it afloat without Denny. I've seen, I've seen some of that happening lately, and I'm feeling okay about the basketball. And I would say at no time have I been like disappointed in the basketball when the basketball is the stuff that we think it's going to look like with the defense and all that stuff. It's just this whole like weird no man's land of okay, we're not tanking anymore, but they're not like we heard so much about what a easy half of the second half of the season they were going to have and doesn't look like it's that easy right now.
Yeah. I can agree with you on that. And I think that you're right. You like hit the nail on the head when you talk about how we don't know what the new ownership is going to be. We don't know how much of this front office is still going to be here. We don't know if they're going to take the same perspective on this team that the current front office has taken. And it's really hard to start rebuilding when you're on unstable ground. Like we have a lot of people who we've committed to, but who knows with like the next guy that walks in the door is going to feel like he should stay committed to those folks. We're not even committed to a coach right now. We're still kind of in purgatory with a coach. We didn't expect to be in purgatory with a coach. Like there's so many things that are hard to bet on right now that I don't know even know how you really rebuild toward winning with that many question marks out there.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been a lot more on hold this season than I think I had really prepared myself for. I just
Hmm.
like, oh, we're still sort of like we're not in lottery station, but we're just sort of the train is just kind of sitting there at a station waiting for the green light to go again and go somewhere.
Yeah, and we don't know if we're getting a new conductor or not.
Yeah.
We're like, is this the conductor that we're gonna take off from the station with? We don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. And do the people who are like pulling the levers on like which track to take, like what are
Hmm.
they going to pull? Boy, we are really into the train analogies right now.
I know. But shout out trains. Trains are awesome, and I wish we had more of them and people rode them more.
Yeah, this is a train podcast, and they'll be in the off season. We can do a train podcast. But can
Um,
you also believe it's March?
no. Oh my God, no. Just no.
Hmm.
Um, so let me ask you this. It's March, and in March it was usually when we're starting to see like the shut it down mode, and now we're not really sure what we're gonna see. Um, what surprised you about the season so far?
So, one thing that I noticed that was sort of, I guess, started in the beginning. Anyway, in the past several years, the third quarter would come and we'd all go, "Oh God, please, just let us survive the third quarter."
Oh, I'm
And
familiar with this
yeah,
feeling.
you remember. I don't want to go too into how that felt because we can all remember. This season, the third quarter is like, oh, it's the third quarter. They could come back and get this together. And I remember so many years of just thinking, somebody make a stirring speech at halftime, and then they'll come out and they'll be ready to fight. And they just never were. But I feel like this season, whatever's happening at halftime, um, gives them a fighter's chance in just about every game. And I'm still in the place where just about every game, I believe that the Blazers could pull it off. With a few exceptions, even when they lose, I'm like, they could put it together, but it's been starting in the third quarter, and that's something that has shocked me. I was not ready to be like a third quarter girly this season.
I kind of wondered if this is like also a result of a different coach. Like, so one of the things that I was always a little disappointed in with Chauncey was that he just didn't seem to be one of those guys who made like halftime adjustments.
Hmm.
Maybe Tiago's a halftime adjustment guy. Maybe that's what's happening. I mean, I'll say there's definitely some adjustments that I've seen, like when they come out differently. Sometimes we come out with completely different not completely different starting lineups, but like they'll sub a guy out of the starting lineup from the first half to the second half. I mean, sometimes it's related to an injury, but sometimes it seems like it's tactical. So, like, I don't know, maybe he's more interested in those like adjustments at halftime that I felt like in the past we would see those against us, but not for us.
Yes, that's it exactly. Like people are always doing that to the Blazers, but I don't remember the Blazers coming out with a better second half plan than they had in the first half. And I wonder, you brought up the coach, and I assumed it was because they're all sitting there staring at Tiago, going, "Gosh, he's so motivating." But come to think of it, who did he play for a long time? One of the greatest coaches ever. And like maybe he did pick up something for Popovich about the making halftime adjustments and what you need to say and how you need to motivate or how you need to plan for a better second half. Because when you think about like, oh, I don't know about any of the coaches that the Blazers previous coach played for, if any of them maybe like had that kind of reputation, but Popovich's reputation certainly precedes him and anybody coming from that tree. Maybe it is a coaching thing. Whether or not that means that, Tiago's going to be the coach of the future. Maybe it's more than just what I was thinking of as just a stirring halftime speech. Maybe it's actually coaching.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting to see because there's definitely differences between what we've seen from Tiago and what we've seen from Chauncey Billups. They're not all good or bad. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. I want to scream. I do scream at my television sometimes when Tiago pulls out the first half challenge.
Yes.
I'm like,
The
what are
first
we doing?
quarter challenge.
one time he like challenged in the first like minute of the game, and I was like, for what? For why? Is that challenge burning a hole in your pocket? You just don't want to worry about it for the rest of the game. So you're like, let's just get it out of the way early.
Let's just lose our challenge right at the beginning.
Yeah. Then nobody can yell at me for not using it later in a more tactical position.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have a challenge. Wish I
Yeah.
could. Sorry.
And all of the times I remember thinking, who fed them all buttered popcorn at halftime? Because they'd come out and they would just like toss out, throw it up the ball, and it was just like right through their hands. But I don't see as much of that. I feel like they tighten things up for the most part. What about you? Anything? What has surprised you so far in the season?
So one of the things that I think is most surprising to me is that early in the season, I remember like, there was a lot of complaints about turnovers. We saw a lot of turnovers, and we all said, you and I both said on this podcast, like, it'll get better when the point guards are back, because at that point, Drew was hurt, Scoot was hurt, like Wesley had broken his foot. Like, we were like, it'll all be better. And it turns out, I'm like, oh, maybe our best offensive look is still just Benny on the ball. And not to say that our point guards have been playing well, but I mean, we still turn the ball over plenty, and we really miss that like offensive intensity from Denny, and like how he opens up the floor, because the paint is not nearly as threatened without him out there.
Hmm.
And like I was thinking about, people used to complain about his free throws. I was like, oh, you know, when he's less tired and he can shoot free throws, not as fatigued, like they'll get better. And I'm like, we don't even get those free throws anymore. Those are just free throws that are gone in the ether. Nobody's shooting them. Denny can go out there and shoot his 80%. I don't care. He gets 10 of them.
Yeah. And now nothing.
Now nothing. Now it's like those are like just not just free throws we don't get. I don't know if
Hmm.
it's because like guys don't get calls that like other guys would, or if just because like the paint aggression isn't the same, but like nobody's shooting those 10 free throws that Denny was shooting every game.
Hmm.
And if they were, we weren't making them.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I hear you saying is that we thought everything was going to get better when they got the the point guards back. And maybe not, maybe that's a little bit dramatic, but I will say I felt like when Drew came back, things got a little bit more under control.
Hmm.
And then when Scoot came back at the same time basically as they introduced Veet Krejci, and now
Yeah.
they're playing together a lot. And I remember a lot last year at the beginning, especially about Scoot just not knowing where people were going to be or where they wanted the ball, and people not being ready for the ball. So
Hmm.
I wonder if the simultaneous return of the point guards who and new players in the lineup may making it a little worse than we think it is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Turnover wise anyway.
Yeah, I can see that. And also like, I mean, we haven't been playing with a consistent lineup all season. It's been guys in and out. Matisse is back now. Like, I was like, oh yeah, Matisse Thybulle plays basketball. He doesn't just get guys water and eat snacks on the sidelines in his like toe shoes or whatever. Um, no,
We
he doesn't
talked
wear the toe
about
shoes.
him like 15 minutes ago, and in between that 15 minutes ago and now, I completely forgot about Matisse until you just mentioned him again. That
Yeah.
poor guy.
He also just came back though. And so like even though some of the like the Blazers have been playing, pretty well this year so far, considering like what we're just coming out of in terms of the last few seasons, it still hasn't been consistent, and they still haven't had a lot of opportunity to build like chemistry with the healthy roster. Because as soon as those point guards came back, it's like Denny went down shortly thereafter, and Shaden after that. And honestly, like in a year where we knew that offense was going to be hard, losing your two biggest offensive contributors really sucks.
Yeah, speaking of things that surprised me, that was another one of the things that surprised me is I thought the defense was going to be, I'm not going to say better, but I thought opponents were going to score a lot less, and I thought the Blazers were also going to score a lot less.
You and me both. You and me both. I thought that we would see.
like that Phoenix game the other night that was 92 to 77. I was like, this is fun. Finally, this is what I was expecting all year long.
Yes, that is exactly what I thought would happen. And I also, so I'll say that I did think that our defense would be better. I'll just say it. I thought our defense would be better. I thought I wouldn't be so like cringing in my house watching our perimeter defense scramble around to try to like make the right adjustments. Our perimeter defense has looked quite bad, I thought, as of late. And it's like when I see like other teams shooting from three, I'm like, oh, that's going in. Oh, that's going in. Like every team has three guys on the end of the bench who shoot, I feel like 40% from three, and I don't even know their names.
Yeah, everybody else is hoarding all the shooters.
Yeah. I'm like, who is this dude? Who is this dude? Who is this dude? This dude is nobody, and he's just having a career night.
Now, I do not have anything to back this up. But I'm wondering, it feels like of late, teams have been running small lineups against Donovan Klingan. And I feel like that might be contributing a bit to that. Because and I like again reminding myself this is the year that they're supposed to figure all that stuff out. So like the other night I was like bring on more small ball lineups against Donovan so we can figure out what he's supposed to do if he can ever be effective against them. Maybe not. Maybe the coach just needs to sub him out every time somebody throws in their small lineup. But I feel like that's making it look extra rough, especially on the perimeter. Um, but they still, I feel like they still have more chunks of solid defense than they have in years past, obviously, because they were tanking. But and I feel like especially in the last few years where it's like, oh, fine, or last few games, like, oh, good, they got three stops in a row again. It feels like it's been like months since they got three stops in a row. So things are crawling back, and I just have to keep reminding myself they're only four games under, and even if they even if they never get back up to 500, I still think they're learning and they're getting better this season. It's just hard to know. Okay, anything else that has surprised you?
Uh, Donovan getting ejected the other game. That was did you see the ejection?
I loved it. You know how all season I've been like, Donovan, make him feel ya. I feel like I'm just like the lady in the stands who's like asking for a fight. But I just want Donovan to make him feel him. And I feel like he did with an elbow to the face, maybe not that much, but
I was a little salty about this because like in terms of how elbows to the face are called in the NBA, I thought an ejection straight away was like kind of a that felt like a pretty generous whistle for that defender. Because I watched Karl Anthony Towns put elbows in people's faces every single game that he plays in, and he gets to play in the fourth quarter.
Mhm.
And so it felt like this, like kind of for me, like this anti-role player call that if you were a bigger name, if this game was on national television, there's no way they would eject you. But because you're Donovan Klingan, you play on the Blazers, and you're only in your second year in the NBA, guess what? You're ejected for this, which is a little annoying to me because I swear, like Karl Anthony Towns has broken so many noses in his career. And I guess it's maybe that should be motivation for Donovan to work up to all-star level player so that he can elbow guys in the face if he wants to and get your money's worth. If you're going to get
Yeah.
ejected, you should get your money's worth.
Yes. Yes. No, I think Donovan has a little bit of an edge to him. And I want the other players to be a little bit leery of going up against him because they don't quite know what Donovan is going to do. And I feel like when he's young, maybe a couple flagrant twos under his belt will just like build up his reputation a little bit.
It would maybe help him in that like in the situation where he ends up getting those offensive boards right under the hoop and people just swarm on top of him and he
Hmm.
can't get it back up for a shot. He either loses it or he has to pass it out. Maybe they should fear his elbows a little bit.
Hmm.
Give him a
Yeah.
little bit of space so he can get up strong.
I feel like especially right now with Denny out, teams are really focusing on Donovan. And, it makes sense because Donovan is kind of the linchpin for a lot of things when everybody else is out. So it makes sense for their game plan. But I also love it for our future because like you gotta like the more people throw at Donovan, the more he learns and levels up. And
Hmm.
that's what the thing I just love watching Donovan this year is I feel like he just continues to level up. So I'm like, bring on all the everything that anybody can try to throw against Donovan because now is the time for him to learn it.
Yeah, Donovan for me is like probably the most improved Blazer so far this season because of how much growth we've seen just even from the beginning of the season to
Hmm.
now. I didn't expect him to be playing this many minutes. I didn't expect him to be this impactful. For me, like, so yeah, I was critical of just a couple minutes ago of the Blazers' perimeter defense. For me, I think that like something I'm looking more toward is if this team can improve their perimeter defense enough so that I don't see Donovan Klingan coming out of the paint to contest on the
Yes.
perimeter so much. Like I want to see him if you're gonna play him and you're gonna play like this type of defense where he's gonna play dropped into the paint to protect the rim, you need to protect him from having to be pulled out constantly, and that means the guys have to rotate faster and get around screens easier because it there's always some dude in a corner that whose name I don't know that Donovan has to run out and contest. And then he makes it every time. It's like it sucks.
Yeah, and now Donovan has had to sprint that many more feet again before. Yeah, I know. I keep thinking, how come every time I look up, Donovan is the one who's like running out at a guy who's shooting a three? Like, what are we doing here?
Because he's covering for somebody.
Hmm.
He's covering for somebody who didn't get there. And the really like the hard thing about this for me too is when I see Donovan come out, what used to happen when Denny was on the floor is Denny would step into the paint and cover for Donovan. I
Mm.
don't see dudes stepping up to cover Donovan's spot anymore. And Denny was always really good about watching for when Donovan had to leave the paint so that he could be. I mean, he's not as big as Donovan, but it's better than having nobody in
Yeah,
that spot.
and he's not small.
No.
Denny's big. We've talked about how Denny is bigger than he seems. Um, and maybe that's a role that Veet can work himself into. I really like his length and I like his speed and his size. Like he's like as tall as Denny, pretty much. And he's not as wide as he is, but he can get a hand in your face too. So I'm really looking forward to after he's been here for a while and we can see how Veet fits in.
Yeah. He has to find his groove here. And I know that his shooting will improve eventually, but right now I'm just like, please, how about today? Is today the day? Make it today.
Yeah, I know.
Have the Vee Krejci game.
Yeah, every game I'm like, this is going to be the Gucci game. Tumani has been shooting pretty well in the last few games. He's had some really nice nights, as I recall. So that's good to see.
And he's been I think providing some really like tactical cuts
Hmm.
sometimes when they're like in trouble, which I appreciate. Him and Chris Murray are both pretty good cutters when the team just needs to move the floor around in
Yeah,
order to get a shot. Um
yeah,
but I wish for him like I'm like if he could be just like 5 percentage points better from the line, it would make him so much more dangerous. I don't
yeah.
even know. Maybe five's not enough. I don't actually know what he's shooting right now, but it doesn't seem very high. Let's see what Tumani's shooting.
Is
What do
he
you think
even
it
getting
is?
to the line?
Sometimes.
How much is he getting to the line? I bet you he's
Uh,
shoot. I bet you.
he
I don't.
shoots 1.8 per game, and he's shooting
Ooh,
67.5%.
yeah.
And last year he was shooting 72.2.
Hopefully, guys spend all summer practicing their free throws. Remember how we always say they need to practice alley-oops? Well, they have. They're good at alley-oops now. They know how to alley-oop. Now they can go back to practicing their free throws in the summertime.
Okay. Yeah, put that on your list. Put that on your list, gentlemen.
Can I say one more thing that I don't know if it was a surprise, but I love lately?
Yeah, tell me.
CD and Blake Wesley fast break. When the
Yeah.
two of them have a full head of steam, that has
Yeah.
got to be terrifying to see coming your way.
Yeah, I honestly like I like talking about a train. That's a powerful train coming through when you've got Blake Wesley and CD on the
Barreling down
floor.
on you.
And so I need to also ask, so spoiler, we already talked about this, but I need you to say it into the microphone for people who need to know. Can you talk about that CD dunk?
Oh, God bless that young man for gracing our screens with that and bringing back the backwards dunk. We've all been missing the backwards dunk since Mason Plumlee was gone. We've been, we've gotten hungry because they've fed us more dunks than ever before, and now we're hungry for more. And now we're like, where's the backward dunks? That backward dunk that CD had, it wasn't just awesome because it was a backward dunk. And this is like true of CD dunks in general over the last couple of months. He's approaching Shaden levels of just like beauty in his dunks. That
And
backwards,
power.
yeah, well, and the like keeping his body in a beautiful form shape. And like even before we watched all of the ice dancers and the ice skaters and their beautiful precision, we recognized that in Shaden as like what makes his dunks so spectacular. And I see CD having some, in addition to that power, when you get that much power, that means you also have the power, I guess, to keep your arms straight and your toes pointed and your legs parallel. And that backwards dunk, like I put it on my Instagram, but the way that he was like an absolutely beautiful C curve. His arms like were parallel, his legs were parallel, like the way he was reaching up and looking, like the line was just gorgeous. Like you could just make a beautiful line of his body the way he dunked that. So I am so excited for CD. I think I put on Blue Sky that I think he's my top candidate for most valuable Blazer for bringing back the backward dunk. So thank you, CD.
Yeah, it was a spectacular dunk. And I will say one of the things that I often look for in a dunk for aesthetics is the aesthetic better in slow motion or full speed? And if they're the same,
Hmm.
because that dunk is spectacular full speed and in slow motion because it looks great both ways. Like with the full speed, you get the energy of it because CD's like an energetic dunker. Like he's an energetic, powerful dunker. You really get that, but you also get, as you mentioned, the elegance of a beautiful dunk in slow motion too. So
Hmm.
shout out CD, maybe dunk of the year.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure I don't even know where. I'm sure it didn't even crack the top of the dunk score.
Yeah. We shouldn't be out here trying to quantify art. That's why.
Yeah.
Some things are just beautiful and your eyes can see it, even if you can't figure out how to like make that into numbers.
Now I kind of want to look it up and see where it is because maybe the dunk score actually captured it. I don't know. So let's go there and let's confirm top slams. Okay, where do I see the dunk leaderboard?
I'm a
Okay.
little disappointed this isn't like a bookmark on your browser.
Well, it's not like I, agree that they've come up with the right metrics, although will have to say that I can understand and relate to trying to quantify beauty. I don't think
Mm.
it necessarily can be done, but I think you can like create a matrix that says for these purposes, here's what we say is good. Just like in ice dancing or ice skating. So let me just really quick see. Let me filter out and find CD and see where it lands. Da da da. This is very exciting podcasting.
I will say this, that CD that dunk made me really like it was like a balm because I feel like we haven't seen Shaden dunks now for a little while, and Shaden dunks are always athletic, powerful, fun, and he's filling in this particular aspect of Shaden's role on our team, even though we still miss Shaden in other ways.
Yeah. And I would also say that Tumani's had some really nice dunks.
Yes.
He's had some really nice dunks. So that was an 82 dunk score, which is pretty high. That dunk was his highest. Um, we're talking because that was during oh, he had another one versus Atlanta. Okay. I don't know if that was the one or not. I'll look that up later. Um, But yes, shout out to CD and also to Monty and everybody else on the Blazers. They had a dozen dunks the other night.
Whoa.
I know.
12?
Yeah. Yeah. They had 12 dunks the other night. It followed a night where they only had like one, but they were storing them up. But just, it goes back to like there's just more guys on this team who dunking is a strong option. And I just think in the past, the way the team was built, they just didn't have as many guys for whom dunking was like the natural first choice. I think a lot of these guys are like, I think Donovan, Rob, those are like, my first choice is going to be a dunk. And then if I have to shoot it, I'll shoot it.
Well, it's a good time for fans of dunks, and I don't know, it's gonna be hard if we ever decide that we're gonna like be a little bit out on dunks. I don't know if it'll be that easy to go back in lifestyle, but
Yeah, I don't think you can become a dunk lifestyle and then go away from a dunk lifestyle. I think we
yeah,
were
that's
just
right.
waiting for the dunk lifestyle to catch up to us.
And now that we're accustomed to living with this lifestyle, like it's gonna be hard to take it away.
Yeah, there's no going back. Tom Dundon needs to know that.
That's right. Just find us all the dunkers.
Yeah.
The one other thing I was going to mention is that if I don't know if you noticed, but we had a couple of remixers signed to two ways. It looks like we parted ways with Javante Cook as a two-way, and there's obviously an empty spot because CD was promoted to a full NBA contract, and those gentlemen are Chris Youngblood and Jason Kent, Jason with a Y. I don't know a lot about these guys. Do you know a lot about these guys?
Nope, I don't. I bet Kat does, but I know that the people that Kat liked already got picked up by other teams. But I
Yeah.
think I think Kat said that she likes both of these guys, so we'll see if they play.
Yep. And we'll have to bring Kat back to let us know how they
Yeah.
look.
And we'll see if
Um,
Caleb Love ever comes back to the big team. He has what, five games left to play approximately. I don't think he's quite used up his eligibility. So I wonder if we see Caleb Love again.
I would love to see Caleb Love. I still believe that like Caleb Love should be an NBA player and that why not us?
Hmm.
Because remember how we were talking like months ago how like as currently constructed with the injuries that we had, we couldn't really win without Caleb Love's points.
Hmm.
We really miss Caleb Love's points right now. Like I miss Caleb Love being able to, score 10 to 15 points
Yeah,
because right now points feel hard to come by.
right. And yeah, he's somewhat of a streaky shooter, but being a streaky shooter means that sometimes he makes it.
That's part of the streak.
That's part of the streak, because it means sometimes it goes in. So why not? Why not us? Why not now? Just like you said.
Yeah. Gosh. Anything else you want to slide in here
No,
before we
I
move
think
on?
that kind of sums up where I am. I just want to acknowledge that like it's a weird time I think for Blazer fans right now, like, and just because like we were so conditioned the last few years to expect one thing, and then we thought as soon as we were, at least I think I internalized that as soon as we were out of the Lottery Express, then everything was just going to be like smooth sailing, and I forgot that like, oh no, it just means they're not losing on purpose. They're still going to be losing. They're just not losing on purpose. And
Mm,
so it's they still got a ways to go. But so if we can just, we can just hold on to that they are like they are playing an exciting game brand of basketball that we haven't seen for a while. They do have like some building blocks that you could actually build a future around. And so there's a lot to be excited about, even if it's kind of feels weird right now. Also, I was going to notice that I looked up the latest Jeremy Grant has ever played in Portland was March 12th. So we're coming up on that date.
okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on Jeremy because I feel pretty confident he's going to be playing after March 12th this year, but you never know.
I have to say one more thing about the vets. The other night when Jeremy and Drew were playing, I was struck with like I was happy that they were there and that the Blazers got a win, but I'm really looking forward to the time when they're not the ones who are scoring like half of the points. When they can find other people to spread that scoring around, and that they are like a luxury to the team, not like the be all end all for that game.
Yeah, that's a good point. I one of the things that I've been kind of grappling with is how, like, so last year around this time, I said earlier that we were seeing the team kind of pick up wins that we didn't expect to get and look a little bit better than we thought. And when surprises are good, it confers a different kind of mindset than when the surprises are bad.
Yeah.
So some people I think are a little surprised that we haven't been better. And that can be profoundly disappointing and a completely different mental that you get yourself into when the surprises are good and you're like, oh, look at this $20 I found in my pocket that I put in my ski jacket last season and now it's here versus like accidentally picking up an overdraft fee.
Yeah.
It's the same $20, but it feels so much worse.
Yeah. Good one.
Blazer basketball, it's always a roller coaster.
Yeah. At least it didn't say gamble.
No, I don't want to talk about that. Thank you. Um, let's move on to our player profile. We both did some reading about Blake Wesley, and we want to talk about Blake Wesley today. I just want to start this by saying, like, I have been calling him Hot Wheels. Um, rationale being that, well, one, he's very fast. And two, I think that he flies around on the court in a way that kind of defies like the physics of an actual car. He's more like a toy. Because when children play with toy cars, they don't just roll them on the ground. Are you kidding? They don't. They put them in tracks. They throw them downstairs. Like they're all over the place. And that's how I feel like Blake Wesley is. I feel like it captures the chaos of the type of basketball that he plays. And as you pointed out, a little bit like Chief.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think Hot Wheels is a great nickname. I think it's fun because it's fun. It evokes good feelings. Everybody loved their Hot Wheels cars, right? And yeah, I think Hot Wheels is a great nickname, and I am in favor of using it.
So Blake Hot Wheels Wesley. His middle name is actually Carrington.
Which Carrington is such a fancy middle name. I loved it. I was like Blake Carrington because I don't know if it's a family name or whatever, but like weren't the Carringtons like in Dynasty or one of those like soap operas? It was about the Carringtons, and so I can't not think about the Carringtons as like I think it was Dynasty. Anyway, sorry.
I'm not the person to ask about this. But if a listener, if you know about what like soap opera Carrington is from, please let us know. Um, so yeah, Blake Carrington Wesley, he was born in South Bend, Indiana, and South Bend, Indiana is also where he went to college at Notre Dame. I think South Bend is a really important part of his journey, just sort of in general, because he's from there, he grew up there, and then he went to Notre Dame. Um, and it's like, I don't know, it's like not a big place. Do you know much about South Bend, Indiana?
No, I don't. I don't. Just honestly, the only thing I know about it is that Notre Dame is there. And it must be like where the river bends.
Yeah, so the one thing that I will say about I had to look a little bit about South Bend, Indiana. I'm like, how big is this place? Um, it's a little bit like Eugene in that it's like a college town. There's like 100,000 people there. I remember, isn't that where Mayor Pete, the the politician,
Oh,
Pete
is he from there?
Buttigieg, I think he was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana when
Uh-huh.
he ran for president. Um, anyway, so it's like 100,000 people. It's not very big. It's on like a very north edge of Indiana. And he came up in South Bend, Indiana basketball uh, with another NBA player, Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey was well, I think now he's with the Bulls, but he was with the Pistons for like 3 or 4 years. He was a lottery pick in the same draft that Blake Wesley was drafted. He stayed, I think Jaden Ivey stayed 2 years with Purdue, and then Blake Wesley came out after 1 year at Notre Dame. Um, they did not go to the same high school, but they played on the same AAU team. And there was another guy, gosh, I've looked up his name and now I forgot his name. There's another guy from South Bend who also went
Uh,
to Notre Dame with Blake.
JR or RJ something. I remember watching.
JR, oh gosh, whose name
Oh,
I'm gonna botch this.
Qu
Connect.
Quincy? Quincy? I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
JR, and then his last name is spelled Konieczzny.
Consi? Yeah, I'm not even
I'm
gonna try.
I'm not
I
gonna get
tried it
there.
and I'm gonna just move on.
So anyway, this is these are that this JR and Blake both went to Notre Dame and they were both from South Bend, Indiana, and they grew up, playing ball with each other and against each other. Because I don't think any of these guys went to the same high school, but they played AAU together, is what I learned. And what was interesting to me about um him, Blake and Jaden's Ivy specifically, because I know more about Jaden Ivy than this other guy. Um, they have a similar style. They're both really explosive, like 6'4" combo guard type guys, really athletic. And it makes me wonder like what that AAU team's basketball style looked like. Because
It must have been so fast.
they were both very intense athletes, yes. Um, and I saw that I think that I saw them after after the Bulls game, they like hugged it out. And I don't know if they did a jersey swap, but Blake did a jersey swap with another kid from Indiana that was in the NBA a couple of games ago. I think his name was Smalls.
Oh yeah.
Something.
Yeah, Small was also from who on the Grizzlies. He's also from South Bend, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So this is like a whole theme of his career is like his connection to South Bend, Indiana, growing up with like a little like cohort of guys who are all able to like be successful at various levels of basketball. Um, and yeah, I find that really interesting. Also, shout out to South Bend, Indiana, because on June 30th, that is Jaden Ivey and Blake Wesley Day.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
And I think that they're celebrating the fact that they had two players in the same draft, um, drafted in the first round of the NBA. Let's see, they did this in 2022. The city of South Bend proclaimed June 30th as Jaden Ivey and Blake Wesley Day.
I
Uh,
love that. So I'm trying to find out the difference between Indianapolis and South Bend. I'm just
Size
wondering how.
wise,
Yeah, it looks well. Yeah, no, the distance. So they're about 75 miles away from each other. So it's like about Portland to Bend. And the reason I was thinking about that is, obviously South Bend is super important to Blake Wesley's identity, having grown up there and then also gone to college there. And I was thinking about people who like didn't grow up going to school or they didn't grow up in a town that didn't have an NBA team.
mm,
And I was thinking about like St. Louis and guys who grew up in St. Louis, which doesn't have an NBA team, but these guys are really only like 90 minutes away from an NBA team.
yeah, and like Indiana has like a rich,
Big,
long history with basketball.
yeah.
They have, I think most people probably think of Indiana when they think about Indiana basketball, like the University of Indiana.
Hmm.
Um, and then, but like Notre Dame and Purdue are like more up and coming. I remember Caleb Swanigan was from Purdue.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just interesting because one of the other things that I read about Blake was that he was the first one and done from Notre Dame men's basketball, which is like a little surprising. I was like, could anybody really be the first one and done? And apparently, yes, he was the first one and done from Notre Dame, um, which is just surprising because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why
Pat
that's surprising.
Connaughton went there, but he went there. Was he a 4-year guy? He might have been a 4-year guy. And then Jeremy Grant's brother, Jarian, went there. And I think he went a couple years at least.
Yes, that's
He and
right,
Pat
Jerry.
Connaughton were good friends. I remember that.
Yeah, I do. I remember that, and I also remember thinking when I was reading this that I wonder uh if Blake knew Jeremy before.
Mm.
Because sometimes these guys like know each other through like familial connections or whatever, even
Hmm.
though because they're all just kind of part of the same club. It's like
Hmm.
kind of a rare club to be a part of. Um anyway, so also I'll say I don't think Blake has any siblings. Did you find that he has any siblings?
He does. Yeah.
Oh, he does.
He has an older sister and an older brother. He's the youngest of three.
Okay. I'm shocked because his mother and father are here like all the time. I
Yeah.
see them like, in his socials, like coming to support him through his injury and stuff. And I was like, you got three kids. You got to like
Yeah.
divide and conquer.
Yeah, but Blake was the youngest. His brother is Derek. So his parents are Derek and Leslie, and Leslie Wesley is like my favorite name ever.
I
I
know.
love that name. It just sounds so good, and also she seems like amazing. Um,
She's a
but
great follow on socials.
yes, yes. Blake, I sometimes when I was doing the research, Blake Wesley and Caleb, or not, yeah, and Caleb Love sort of morphed together in my mind because they both have parents who like share about them constantly on social media. They
Dennis
both have
Love.
parents who love talking about their kids on social media. But so his dad, Derek, played at Ball State and was like player of the year a couple of times. So he definitely came from a basketball background. And his mom,
Yeah.
Leslie, her main sport was a cheerleader, but she did all kinds of sports when she was growing up. And so his brother did play basketball in high school, but I think that's as far as he went. And then his sister played basketball at one of the Indiana. She played at Indiana University South. His sister's Taylor, and she went to Indiana University South Bend. So she also stayed in South Bend.
Okay. So there's like a satellite campus from
Yeah,
Indiana.
Indiana University South Bend. Yeah, so that's where she played basketball.
Is is Bloomington the main campus? It must be.
Yeah, it must be. I don't know. I've never been to Indiana. And that's when I have a friend who's been to a lot of NBA arenas, and she said that she really had a good time when they went to the Pacers game. So not what I would have thought. And my sister actually also went there too, and she said they were in town the same weekend that Taylor Swift was in town, so it was hopping.
That's funny. Um, so I want to say that I also, oh, so I don't, Notre Dame is not, I don't think, known as like a basketball school exactly. But so I just wanted to like look back and see who else went to Notre Dame. Pat Connaughton is listed as somebody who went to Notre Dame. There's a couple of other guys Troy Murphy. Troy Murphy was a Notre Dame guy. And also on the women's side, Skylar Diggins
Oh,
is
that's right.
a Notre Dame alumni. Um, she's probably the most famous basketball player from, at least right now, from Notre Dame. But yeah, Skylar Diggins is she plays for the Seattle Storm. Um, so Blake was drafted 25th by the Spurs. Jaden Ivey went in that same draft. He was drafted fifth by the Pistons. Um, and I didn't know this about him until I started reading about him. He like got injured there too. He's already had some like kind of, I don't want to say like chronic injuries, but he's had some bad luck on the
Mhm.
injury road at the beginning of his career. Um, and that's just, I don't know, because when he broke his foot here, I was so disappointed, and I was like, this just feels like a freak accident. And this is already a second because he tore his MCL, um, and playing for the Spurs.
Yeah. Yeah, he tore his and he also when he was in high school, he broke his arm like I think right before his sophomore season, so he lost quite a bit of time there. But they all seem like you said, not like chronic. It's just like bad luck that these guys have.
Yeah, it's too bad. He's so when I looked back at his time with the Spurs, he was injured, and he played some time with the Austin Spurs, and he came back, and then he went through this. It just didn't feel like he got like a fair shot at making anything for himself in that with that organization.
Yeah, well, he was out, I think, is when they acquired De'Aaron Fox and Chris Paul. So like he had an opportunity, like maybe he could have had time as a guard when he came back, but they went out and got more guards. So he just was kind of like an uphill battle to try to get in.
And then they drafted Dylan Harper, who like
Mhm.
also, you know,
Yeah.
has some overlap. Um, yeah, it's too bad.
He and CD overlapped in San Antonio, right?
Yes, they did. They overlapped by like one season, I think, right? I think that's
Yeah,
right.
I think CD. Yeah, I'm not gonna, if I say it off the top of my head, I'll get it wrong. But they did overlap.
Yeah. So Blake had an interesting road to even coming to Portland because remember he was like an off-season signing last summer. And last year he like right around the trade or not the trade deadline, the free agency, he was traded to the Wizards
Hmm.
with Branham, I think it was Branham,
Hmm.
and then for Kelly Olynyk, and then Washington bought him out.
Hmm.
So like, and I guess I remember reading like an interview with him where he said that he was like working out in Vegas or something, and then he didn't know that he was going to be traded. And this his trainer like called him in and was like, "Oh, I have something to tell you. You've been traded to the Wizards." And he was like, "Oh," he was like surprised that he was
Hmm.
traded. Um, and he did have a discussion with the Wizards, so he didn't know if he was going to be playing for them or not, and he thought it was a good discussion, and then they ended up buying him out, which is why he was free to sign with Portland in the summer. But it also kind of explains how he was kind of a late signing because like he was traded and then bought out like and it was already like mid-July when all of this
Hmm.
was going down. Um so he signed with the Portland on July 22nd and then he just broke his foot on like the fifth game. He's had such an inconsistent like shake at trying to make a team, trying to find his place, trying to, you know, fit a role to him.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm really glad he's here. I hope that he's able to do something with his time here because he's had a good opportunity with all of our injuries to like carve a role for himself. But I don't actually know what kind of player he's supposed to be. I know he's athletic, I know he's fast. One of the things that kind of surprised me when I looked back at his like playing career is that like he came in as like an above average three-point shooter and has slowly like fallen down throughout his NBA career. He came
Hmm.
in, I think, like from Notre Dame, he was like a 37% three-point shooter. And his first year in San Antonio, it was like 38, and it just came down. I'm not sure what's going on with his shooting because I do not think of him as a shooter. And he like when I see him shoot, I don't know, like he doesn't seem like he wants to shoot.
Hmm.
But I don't know like what's going on with that aspect of his game. I don't know. What do you think?
I went into the Reddit thread after he got traded. Somebody from Portland went into Spurs Reddit and said, "Hey, tell us what you guys think about Blake Wesley as a player and a person."
Mm,
Like overwhelmingly positive about him, like as a guy. Like people,
mm.
they said they really liked rooting for him. He was easy to root for. He was a great teammate. A lot of people called out like how good he was like on the bench. So we should be watching his reactions on the bench. Um, but as far as the shooting guy, everybody said really fast, can't finish around the rim, can't shoot. So they didn't, and then some people pointed out that he actually had a good first season, and then the second season it was worse. But if you look at the second half of his second season, then it started to get more like it was when he came in. So I don't know what to think about it, and I wonder if it's just like opportunity timing. They didn't need it, they needed it, then they didn't need it, then he got rusty, and then once he got used to it, he started being able to make it again. I don't know if, Portland, I was gonna say maybe Portland has so many shooters, and then I was like, what am I talking about? Um, I don't know if just like that's not the role because since he's been in the NBA, his role has really been defense. That's what Pop told him. If you want to play, he said you got to play defense, and so he took that to heart and he just played that. So maybe just his concentration and focus on defense just didn't translate into being a very good scorer either from three or at the rim.
Yeah, it was that was the most one of the more surprising things is that I saw that he was like a pretty decent three-point shooter before he got to the NBA. And now it's like I like now it looks like like everyone's got the green light on this team, it
Yeah,
feels like to shoot
like
from three.
why would anybody hold up? To go back a little bit to his time at Notre Dame, I think he really surprised people, and I think I don't even know if he expected to be a one and done. I think he might have even expected to stay a little bit longer, but he very quickly found a role, and a lot of it was scoring.
Yeah.
He was able to do it with that team. So yeah, I see what you mean by like, yeah, he was like, he had regular nights where he was scoring 27, 28. Not that wasn't his average, but like he could totally go in there. Um, so, the other thing that I've learned though, after doing so many of these things, of these deep dives, is so much about timing. And it's
Yeah.
like, did you peak at this one particular thing that they needed? And so then you got identified as a person who does this one thing, and then that became your identity. Or it just so there's so many different ways that your skill set could match up with the team's need, which could match up with the story that ends up getting told about you. So maybe a little bit of that figures into his shooting anyway. Like maybe he scored a lot at Notre Dame, and then the Spurs didn't need him to do that, and so he didn't. And so people are like, well, he's not a scorer. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that was like similar to what we heard about Caleb Love too, how Caleb decided he was going to lean into his deep like a defensive identity, despite the fact that in college he was a shooter. He was a guy who scored points. And it's so interesting to me that the college game and the pro game could be so different and how they view these players that are top talents. And I'm
Hmm.
like, these are top talents. You agree that they belong in the NBA, but you want them to be a completely different player
Yeah.
than the player that you saw that made them want that you want them in the first place. What is this nonsense?
Yeah, totally. What were some of the like themes that you took away about him? I mean, I know we don't actually know him, so what do we actually know? But like from your research, what are some things that you walked away with thinking about him?
He seems really community oriented. Like he seems like a really
Yeah.
community oriented guy. Like he does camps, I think, in South Bend, during the summers and stuff. He and Jade and Ivy are still really close. And they, try to give back to that basketball community. And I've heard him talk like I've in some of these articles about how, he grew up idolizing certain players and he wants to be that for the young and upcoming people from his community. You can see it also the way his mom talks about him. Like she was really proud to repost that photo of him and that guy from the Grizzlies, who are both from Indiana. Like they're really proud to represent South Bend, Indiana. They don't let you forget it. And so, like, I can but remember when during was it Thanksgiving where he like bought a guy a meal down in downtown Portland because he saw him wearing a blazer hat. Like
Mhm.
that feels like very indicative of the type of player that we got. Someone who wants to like build community, like give back to community and be a member of a community.
Yeah. That story about the man that he met downtown, it wasn't even just that he just took him out to lunch. He like bought him shoes, and he
Hmm.
said, I'm going to come back and visit you and see how you're doing because I want to know how you're doing.
Hmm.
And that to me, even though in that specific situation he wasn't necessarily being a role model, but when talking about when he goes back to South Bend in Indiana and does like the camps with the kids and everything, I feel like it's really genuine in him that he wants to be a role model and that
Yeah.
he was very moved by other people who were acted as role models to him, and he wants to play that forward.
Yeah. That's exactly my feel from him. And I'm just really glad to see guys that feel that connected and try to build that connection wherever they go. Because I think that, sometimes we talk about players that like they don't connect with you in your city, but maybe they connect in another city. I feel like Blake Wesley is somebody who wants to connect with everyone and like people in every stop along his journey. So like we talked about, Raymond Felton didn't work out here, but New York loves him. Like I feel like Blake Wesley, when he goes around and people you ask the fan bases about him, I think that somebody like him would be really pleased to hear people say, "Oh, we loved Blake." Like, because that's part of what's important to him is to be a part of a community, not just to play for a team.
My internet looks like it's going in and out a little bit. So hopefully we can hang on for a
Oh,
minute as we finish. So if we get suddenly cut out, sorry about that.
yeah.
But I wanted to share, I don't know if you saw this, but there was like a tweet that went that was pretty popular right after Blake Wesley was traded away from the Spurs. And this guy whose handle is Manizu says, "My family is absolutely heartbroken. Blake is our next door neighbor and one of the most kind, genuine people I've ever known. He's done so much for our kids and never asked for anything. He comes from an incredible family that will always support him, and I look forward to watching his career develop, seeing him when he plays the Spurs and seeing him on the road." So that was like totally unprompted, totally, didn't have to do that. And that was just like his next door neighbor that was like, this guy's a great guy.
That's great. Yeah. I would I would love to see him stick around here long term. It seems like he's getting an opportunity here and there's still plenty of games left to kind
Hmm.
of build your identity. And, if anything, like I would love it for these guys who maybe haven't had good luck with their health or their circumstances or whatever to like get a fair shake at finding a role for themselves so that they can have a long career.
Yeah. Did you see at some point there was a story about how after he was cut from the Washington team and knew that he was going to need to go somewhere else, that his team like reached out to Portland because they thought Portland would be a good place for him. I'm not sure if you saw that. So I was trying to like dig into that a little bit more. Because then later he was asked about it and they were like, "So why did you want to come to Portland?" And he was like, because the opportunity." Like, where they're like, "Was it because of Chauncey Billups?" And he was like, yeah, I guess that's a good opportunity. But anyway, this led me to ask who was his agent, his people.
Mm,
And so his agent was from the CAA. It's a guy named Aaron Mitz. But tell you some of the Blazer adjacent people who were also represented by this guy: Carmelo
okay.
Anthony, Trevor
Okay.
Ariza, Alan Crabb, Josh Hart, and Myers Leonard. So a lot of these guys were guys who like came through Portland. You know what I mean? Like Carmelo and Trevor
Mm-hmm.
Ariza, Josh Hart. They were like, okay, come to Portland for a little while. We'll make a little home for you and you can do your thing and then you can move on to somewhere else. So this is all to say that I don't know that Blake Wesley is like going to be a long time trailblazer. I feel like it was more of a move to like, let's get you somewhere where like you can get playing time, you can show your stuff, you can, show that you can contribute to a team, because it was like only like a 1 year thing, and because they have a relationship where they've done this with other players in the past. That's
Mm-hmm.
total speculation. um but it makes sense for a team like Portland to be a place where somebody could maybe break into to the rotation given everything that's going on.
Yeah, and I heard wasn't that the same advice that Nick Stauskas got too? That like Portland was a good place to go if you were looking for a role, or maybe it was Seth Curry. It was like somebody. It was I wonder like why we have that reputation. I'm just like curious why we have that reputation. Um, I I feel like Mike Schmidt said that to us when we met him last summer that Blake Wesley's team reached out. I don't remember now though.
Hmm.
But I do remember like hearing that. And it may just be like not that Blake Wesley thought that, but his team thought that for him. And you know, uh, we were trying to play fast at the time.
Yeah.
We were trying to play defense at the time. And those are things that he could come and compete for.
Yeah, he certainly fits the profile of guys that the Blazers have been enjoying.
Also, we had just gone out and gotten seedy.
Hmm.
Like last year, like last spring, we went out and got seedy, and so like the writing is on the wall that yes, we're looking for more of this, not less of
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Did you find anything about like off the court hobbies, pets, things like that?
He's a Lego guy. Blake is a Lego guy.
Yeah.
When he actually, anyone who follows Blake on social media probably knows that he was doing Lego builds while he was recovering from his broken foot. And I heard that he was encouraged to be a Lego guy from Miles Turner,
Hmm.
which is of course like he's like Miles Turner is like the Lego guy. But I was like, how do you guys know each other?
Hmm.
Is it just because he was a pacer for like 10 years? Um, I was curious if that was like how they were friends because I couldn't see like an obvious reason why they would know each other.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's a good question. I hadn't even thought about that because I actually got like an AI result that was like he learned from his teammate, Miles Turner. And I was like, get out of here with that. Stop. Stop. I thought I had turned off the thing that shows me those as top results, but it snuck back into my Google search. But anyway, so I was like, oh, that's not real. Um, but yeah, maybe just, following the team and talking about it because he talked about it in uh in one interview just as a way to like cope while he was recouping from injury, and it
Hmm.
gave his mind something to do, and it was good for him that way.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I've heard CJ McCollum talk about since he's been bouncing around from team to team to be kind of a vet leader. I've heard him talk a lot about how he encourages the younger guys to get other hobbies that
Hmm.
aren't just basketball so they can unplug from the basketball aspect and like, stay charged and
Hmm.
ready to go without burning out. So it makes sense that, guys figure out different hobbies. But I was very curious how Blake Wesley knew Miles Turner to
Yeah.
become to look to get the advice that maybe he could be a Lego guy.
Uh-huh.
Um, except for the fact that they're both, I mean, like he's from Indiana, he
They were
played for
in
Notre
Indiana.
Dame. Yeah, and Miles Turner has, like they're obviously Miles Turner is like mid late career because
Yeah.
he was in Indiana for like 10 years and only just signed with the Bucks this offseason. So maybe through somehow the college pro
Hmm.
relationship that
Yeah.
happened.
They could have just crossed paths. They could have trained together.
Hmm.
That's another thing they could have done. Did you notice that he went on one of those NBPA summer excursions? He was actually with Tumani in one of the ones that took place in Milan. The NBPA has
Oh,
all those summer programs for players to learn about different types of things in the off season to like think about the future. And this one is one that they do in Milan every year, and it's about like luxury branding and about learning how luxury brands do their thing and how you can learn how to do that. So he did that couple summers ago, but he was in it with Tumani. So they would have been hanging out together for like a few weeks together in the summer in Milan. So maybe they got to know each other there a little bit.
that's cool. It's nice to see because a lot of our guys are younger, like they have had more opportunity to kind of mingle because they're on the same career arc.
Hmm.
So it's nice. I always like seeing like which guys know each other and why.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
all
it's
the
not just
different
because they came from the same
connections.
hometowns.
Yeah, and we've got lots of cool connections because we have CD and Scoot playing on the G League together. We have Blake and CD playing in San Antonio together. We
Hmm.
have Tumani and Blake going to Italy together, and I'm sure there's a lot more. I'm sure like Chris Murray is wrapped up in there too, and some of the other players as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, I'd also like love a Lego guy. I also, I mean, maybe because I have a child, but like I think about Legos probably more often than a lot of people. And I know that Cassidy is also a big Lego builder as well.
Hmm.
I'm really actually pleased that Legos figured out that adults like playing with Legos too, or building with Legos, I should say. One of my friends told me that we don't play, we build.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's a cool hobby that you could probably like take with you from place to place.
Hmm. And by the way, for anybody who wants to know, it's always Lego, all capital letters. Um,
Are you an anti-Lego as plural person?
I don't worry about the plural so much as the capitalization. It's supposed to be all capitalized.
Yeah.
Uh,
Some people are really particular. They're like, it's not
yeah,
Legos, it's
yeah, it's
Lego.
Lego. Yeah, I do say Lego, but I don't. That doesn't get bother me as much as it being non-capitalized. I worked for an organization where we had to capitalize Lego. Um, the what was I going to say? Um, he had the Blazers have done a couple little short videos with him. One where they went to Javelina, which is a
Hmm.
restaurant over by my house, and that's where he showed his what's in his bag. And of
Yeah,
course, the
yeah.
first thing out was the Bible. And I will say that one thing that stands out to me is how his thing that he says all the time is it's a blessing. Like he really, and that seems like he really believes that. Just like, Shaden is always like, just got to compete. Like
Yes.
Wesley is like, it's a blessing. So
Yes.
he pulled out his Bible, he pulled out his phone, his basketball, and then the last thing that he pulled out of his bag was a portrait of Mona Lisa that he had made out of Lego that was really pretty. He did a good job. And that's also the funny thing about that video is that so he was at a local restaurant
Hmm.
and he was trying different things and he had huckleberry pie and he said this is the first time I've ever had pie. And this is
Yes.
right after he said that he was a foodie. And everyone's like, huh, a foodie has never had pie. Well, isn't that interesting? So I am not going to like bag on him for saying that. It was just an interesting comment to make. And he seems like he likes pie. And I'm wondering if he's had more pie because pie is a wonderful thing. But maybe if like maybe your family wasn't into pie, so you didn't grow up with pie, and now you've discovered pie and you're going to be a pie eater. So he tried it for the first time, and I hope that he's enjoyed all kinds of different culinary experiences around Portland while he's here.
Yeah, I also picked up on the pie thing because I was like, dang, you've never had pie? Do they not have pie? And then I wondered, I was like, well, is Indiana like one of those places that's like they'd have like more like cobbler or something?
Hmm.
Um, but now I'm very curious if he's had more pie here because we have great pie. Like we have a couple of pie shops in Portland that just
Yeah.
do pie. Like Loretta Jean's just does pie. They do
Hmm.
excellent pies. Like there's one downtown that I can't think of the name of right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, we have pie. And
Hmm.
also there's like savory pies. There's so many pies.
I made a
Canned
chicken
pies.
pot pie the other day. It was so good.
Oh, was it?
Yes. I love chicken pot pie so much.
I do too. So hopefully Blake is enjoying lots of types of pies. Sweet,
Yeah.
savory.
Wait until we blow his mind with chicken pot pie if he hasn't had a savory pie before.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I walked away thinking about Blake Wesley. He's another one of those guys that was on the cut that COVID happened in the like in an important part of his transition from one to another. So it would have
Mhm.
happened, it would have shut down like his senior year, everything would have been shut down like after his basketball season was over.
Mhm.
So, but it would have, but he didn't have a lot of time to go visit a lot of places. Um, so I don't know how much it impacted him, if it did, in any way, but I'm always curious, like, where did COVID happen in terms of like his development and his journey? But like you said, super community oriented, super family oriented, from a very supportive family. We didn't even mention that his mom was on the school board
Oh,
of South Bend. It's the South Bend, Indiana. They call it the corporation, which is a weird name for a school board, but you do you, Indiana. But his mom, was an educator. His aunt was an
mhm.
educator. Lots of educators, school being very important. There's also a whole side interesting story for people who want to read. I will put the links in. Um, about his some lawsuits but about his coach, or not his coach but his brother's coach at his school, that there was suing the South Bend, Indiana school district, and it's an interesting read, um but really didn't have anything to do with Blake himself. He just seems like a good guy, good kid. He seems like he truly loves basketball and like wanted I don't know. This is total projection, but sometimes like I think, he was I think he thought he was probably going to be at Indiana or at Notre Dame longer, but his coaches were like, he makes everybody better. Like they're going to want him. Teams are going to want him because whether or not, however he's doing, he gives other guys more shots. He can put things together for other players. People are going to want him. He's not going to be here for more than a year. Like his coaches knew that, I think, almost before him. That's how it
Mhm.
came across to me. But he seems like a guy who loves basketball and wants to play basketball for a living. And he seems less focused on actual NBA than some of the other players that we've watched, where like the whole goal
Oh,
was to like get them
interesting.
into the NBA,
Hmm.
make them the first pick of the draft, get them into the NBA. And it just seems like he just wants to play basketball, and he's made it into the NBA and had this great experience in the NBA. And that is just complete projection on my part, but that's the part of the story that's part of what I picked up on, is like he just loves basketball and loves playing basketball and having an opportunity to do it for a living and wanting to give back, and be a role model for others who might want to do that too.
Yeah, so it related to that, I don't know if projection or whatever you want to call it you just said, but like
Story I'm telling in my head.
yeah, the thing that I sort of project is that I see somebody who is really good at basketball, who loves basketball and realizes that's his platform for doing good.
Hmm.
You know, like he seems like somebody who wants to do good wherever he is, whatever he's doing, and this is his platform for doing that. And like I think that that is a completely like that is a grown-up way I think to like approach the world, is like how do I do good wherever I am, with whatever tools I've got, and he realizes this is an important tool for him to be able to do good wherever he is.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun getting to know about what Blake Wesley. We had started to do Blake Wesley like months ago, right before he got injured, and then we were like, "Oh, he got injured. Let's wait until he comes back." So, that's why it took us a while to get to get around to
Yeah.
Blake Wesley. And it's just weird. Like some guys, and I don't know if it's a sign of the times or if it's where he lived, but some guys have a lot more stuff written about them before
Yeah.
they come into league, whether or not they, take off or whatever. And he just was a guy that there just wasn't that much out there about him that was beyond like what his box score was that night.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's like kind of the publicity downside of like being homegrown in South Bend, Indiana, then going to college in South Bend, Indiana. And it's not like Notre Dame is like a basketball powerhouse, right? You know,
Mhm.
if he's the first one to be one and done, like you're not coming from a basketball powerhouse. So there's not as much focus on your basketball. Whereas like Caleb went to like basketball schools. He went to,
Mhm.
UNC, he went to Arizona. Like those are places where everybody around the country cares about what's happening in their basketball programs. Notre Dame is maybe not one of those places. So
Mhm.
most of the stuff that I found about Blake Wesley was stuff written like by local news, local reporters, like local coverage. And because he never really popped as an NBA player because he's been like kind of had a slow start with injuries and whatnot, like there hasn't been a lot of national interest around him, but it doesn't mean that he's any less interesting than all of
Mhm.
these other players that we talk about.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's Blake Wesley. If you guys, if our listeners, if you know something else about Blake Wesley that we didn't talk about or we didn't, or do you want to like share with others, please let us know because I'm always interested to know more about the players that are here. Oh, one other detail I want to put out about Blake Wesley that some of you might not have noticed is I have noticed that Blake Wesley leaves the best comments on Donovan's dog's Instagram account. He's always commenting on Ollie's posts, and I think it's adorable because I also talk to dogs like they're people.
And maybe he'll be the next one to get a pet. I couldn't find out that if he had a pet. I don't think he does have a pet, but maybe he'll be the next one.
That's true. I mean, we are the golden retriever gang now.
Mhm.
We have like Chris has two, Donovan's got one, Veet's got a golden retriever. I think Tiago's family has a golden retriever. We have golden retrievers up the yang. Like
Yeah.
so throw one more in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh Tara, I think it's that time. It's 1:10. It's March 8th. I can't believe it's March 8th, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, what's your take today?
Okay, this take is going to take us in a completely different direction.
Lay it on me.
It's inspired by somebody shared in the group chat. Um, Myers Leonard's latest country hit on his album, which he just
Fits.
released.
Fits.
Go, Myers. Good for you. If I'm ha That's what you want to do. That's great. Who am I to judge? But anyway, I noticed it's something about a hammer. Something about a hammer in this song. Maybe that's the name of it. I don't remember. But I did notice in the comments a lot of people complaining about his nickname as the Hammer and saying he gave himself that nickname. And I have a little bit of a different take about player and like players who come up with their own nicknames. If a player comes up with their own nickname, I feel like that's on us for not coming up with something better, right? People complained about DeAndre Ayton being dominating. Well, did we come up with anything better? I feel like that's on us. And so that's my take. If a player comes up with their own nickname, that's our fault. We should have tried harder.
Okay, but do you remember how Myers Leonard used to bring the Thor hammer like in as a prop while he was trying to make his hammer nickname?
I think the difference here is coming up with a nickname and then promoting your nickname. Because he did promote the heck out of that nickname, and if maybe he'd just let us take it and run with it, maybe it would have been a different story. But yeah, he had that giant hammer that he used to carry into games because he was
Yeah.
the hammer.
He also tried to
Yeah,
do like the like ponytail. Remember he was trying to do like the ponytail.
he
He
had a
was
braid. He had like the Viking braid.
yeah,
I
like a
think he was
French.
just trying to grow it out, and he had to braid it.
Yeah, because he wanted to have Thor hair. Trying to grow it out so he had like the Thor hair because this is before Thor cut his hair in the Marvel
Yeah.
universe. Because later Thor has short hair, but this is in the first Thor he just had the long hair, and so Myers was trying to grow out the long hair so he could carry the hammer and have the hair.
I'm just saying we had years of Myers Leonard to
It's
come up with
true.
a better nickname.
It's true, and I will say there's definitely nicknames that we've inherited that I don't know the origin of. Like, did Nurkic choose Bosnian Beast?
I don't know. That's a great
I'm fine.
question.
I'm fine with Bosnian Beast because we embraced it. But if he gave it to himself, like, yeah, it's a good nickname.
You can't come up with a better one than that. I
Yeah, that's
mean,
right.
sometimes, yeah. Speaking of Nurkic, um, I was surprised to see. So, he's got shut down for basically getting his nose worked on.
Right.
Um, and everybody in Portland was instantly like, "Oh yeah, it's about time," because we saw him get hit in the head and the nose so many times, and I was really surprised to see like general media out there going, "Oh my God, I can't believe they're shutting him down for like giving him a nose job," and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Did nobody watch Nurkic get whacked in the beak over and over and over again in his time in Portland?" Yeah, I think he probably has some pain there. He probably snores like crazy. He probably wakes himself up in the middle of the night because he's been smashed in the face so many times. Let the guy go get his nose fixed.
Yeah, there's just no way it's healed correctly every single time
Yeah,
along the way. There's just no way because there's a lot of it's mid-season, like,
yeah,
and
and he just had to keep going.
and I'm sure he's been hit in the nose since he's been in Portland. It's not like I mean, I think and not I think. I definitely have seen him get hit in the nose post Portland.
Yeah,
So who knows like the actual number of like nose hits he's taken.
I was just thinking if you're gonna complain about people shutting players down for not good reasons, that was a perfectly good reason to shut down Nurkic.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, I'll say I like the take about the nicknames, and I will say like I'll be the first to admit that like if a nickname didn't originate in Portland, I don't always know where it came from. And so in that way, when Myers was trying to make the hammer happen for himself, him going to Miami was maybe the best possible thing for him. Is to get a new fan base that has no idea where his nickname came from and just like socialize it that way. Because, you know, not if you're not with a franchise long enough, you might not ever get a nickname.
Hmm.
No, the fans might not ever like remember to give you one, or they might not never know enough about you to give you one. Like we know about, I mean, I think we're weirdly obsessed with nicknames in our fan base. I don't know if this is like a thing that other fan bases talk about a lot, but we talk a lot about nicknames. So if you leave Portland without a nickname, I can agree that that's probably on us.
Hmm. What about you? What's your take?
Okay. So this take is a little bit about basketball, but it's kind of not. I don't understand why there are so many start times for games now. Like And it's not, and so like yes, we've complained about it being late. Yes, we've complained. We other like a couple weeks ago we had one at like 10 in the morning, and I'm like, I understand we like span a bunch of time zones, but like there used to be local time like two times that games started, and
Hmm.
now sometimes they start at 7, then sometimes they start at 8, sometimes they start at 6, sometimes they start at 3, sometimes they start at noon. Why are there so many local times for which a game can start now?
Do you think it has to do with the different streaming services? Because remember they went to 8 o'clock for Peacock?
I think that's it. I think that so okay. Yes, I think that's it. And I think that this is a problem is that there are too many services for us to patch together to figure out where we can watch a game and what time it's on. If
Oh,
they want
absolutely.
fans to be able to watch all this, they need to go back to a world where there's only a couple of start times, except for maybe like the weekend slate or whatever for something special or a holiday. Um, and put them back in a place where we can find them all. I never know. I'm like, is this game on? Sometimes the time tells you what channel it's on. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that 8 p.m. that's on Peacock.
Hmm.
But sometimes I have no idea. The Prime games are always a surprise. Oh, whoops, you can't watch this one.
Yeah, you used to know 7:30 minute was a TNT game.
Yep. Now there's no TNT games.
Hmm. Yeah,
And yeah.
I agree. It's a mess. And here's the thing. This is the insidious thing about it. They don't care whether or not we can find it to watch it. They just want to make sure we can bet on it.
Here, here. We hate it.
Boo.
Isn't the whole fun? Maybe I don't understand betting because I don't think betting is fun. But isn't the fun supposed to be that you bet on it and then you get to watch it and see if your bet turns out?
I don't think the watching is the fun part. I think the waiting and knowing what the result is what people are caring about.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
When I was leaving the game, which was the game where the Blazers they lost it, but somebody made a buzzer beater at the end of the game. Um, it was a home game. I was out in the arena, or I was out walking the concourse, and I we stopped and watched. Somebody took a last second shot, a buzzer beater. It went in, and somebody on the concourse lost their mind because it messed up their bet.
Oh,
Because
they didn't lose their mind because like they were like, yay, a shot when they were like,
because of the spread, because it messed up their spread. And I was just like, this is so wrong. There's something wrong with us. There's something wrong with us. We've got to stop this.
yeah,
And
that's
I
right.
felt so bad because like whoever it was, I thought it was Jeremy, but it wasn't Jeremy. Um, but yeah, it went in, and so instead of losing by 7, they lost by 4 or something like that. And so it messed up somebody's bet, and it was sad.
Guys, what are we doing here? Are we not just fans of basketball? I don't I don't if I'm being totally honest, I don't even understand things. Like I understand what a spread is and I understand how it works, but I don't really understand how people like track that while they're watching a game. I'm like, well, I'm watching for my team to play and whether they win or lose or whether they look like they're close to winning or losing and if they played well.
Yeah.
Like the tracking the spread or like your all your different players and your parlay or whatever,
Mhm.
like that feels like too complicated and too much homework for something that I'm just there to enjoy.
Hmm. Well, you have to have an app for it, but then the app is giving you feedback that tells you instantly. There is no app to help you figure out where to watch your team play.
I
But
want that app.
I know, but it will tell you like how your betting is going. Yeah. So
That
anyway,
that
that's
app, I'll say that app used to be League Pass, and I think that because they've lost a handle on how many games they can't show on League Pass, they should not get to call it League Pass anymore.
you're right because you're not. Yeah. Gosh, I saw somebody who lived in Idaho who was complaining about like how many of the games are blacked out for them. How many
In Idaho?
different, I think they were in Idaho, about like basically everybody in the West Coast they couldn't watch.
Oh, shoot. I have a friend who lives in Boise, and he told me that he's blacked out of Utah Jazz games, which is just fine with him.
Okay, well, it's been really great to catch up with you. And we'll have to do this again sometime.
Yes, let's
Those
do.
seasons, that it's like, do we have anything to say this week?
Blazers play tonight. at home, and hopefully it's a good one, everybody. And I'll just say, like, get well soon, Shaden, get well soon, Denny. We do miss you, but you know, my expectations are staying even keeled for the moment. And I realize we have 35 wins, Tara. I think that that's what you said that we thought we would have at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season.
Hmm.
I think this that which you predicted was like 35 with 35.
Yeah, I think I predicted that they would end the season with 35, and they're at 30 right now.
Okay, so there you go. So I
So I
think
don't know.
I predicted 40.
Yeah. Did you predict 40?
Yeah. So,
So I guess we weren't very high on it. But like they're still developing.
yeah, and we play in a hard conference.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
So
play a lot of good
we'll
teams.
see how it all goes. And we're still gonna love the Blazers, and we're gonna still say go Blazers, right?
Yeah.
We're not gonna not be there for them. So
Beat the
anyway,
Pacers.
what?
Beat the Pacers. It's a very winnable game today.
Yes, yes. And for the most part, they're still winning the games that they should. Like, and that's
Yeah.
how we want. Win the ones you should, and some other ones you shouldn't. And that is all. That is completely fine. So hopefully they will get that win tonight. Thanks to everybody for listening. Thank you so much. You can find us at We Have a Take on Instagram and Blue Sky, and wherever you get your podcasts. You can find me at TCBBIGGS, and you can find Rose at Rose L Harding. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time, and go Blazers.